That was talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Cook talking about the new CEO of Manchester United, Omar Berrada, who will be arriving from Manchester City. The first kind of big move, really, isn't it, of the Jim Ratcliffe era? And that's got to be welcome news, hasn't it? I think that feels like a bit of a coup, Flex.
Yeah, welcomed and very surprised with just the effectiveness and the strategic way of which they got him out of City. I mean, it felt very alien hearing that news and the way it was delivered, because it was Manchester City released a statement saying that, you know, Omar Berrada had stepped down. We wish him the best. Hours later, Manchester United, we welcome Omar Berrada to Manchester United. Within 24 hours have just done this massive deal that not many people knew about, snatching somebody of his pedigree from Manchester City just across the road. And, you know, your top insights and sources and journalists didn't know. That doesn't happen at Manchester United. That does not happen. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I know we'll talk a bit more about the appointment, but in terms of Ineos coming in and within the first month getting a new CEO who has the pedigree that Omar Berrada has, that's definitely eyebrow raising.
Yeah, in a good way, of course.
In a good way,
as a fan, because I thought as well that statement, and Crookie spoke about it a bit there as well, that statement that they brought out, and they were saying football and performances is going to be at the heart of what we do now. I did think, well, what were you doing before?
It's a common thing.
It makes sense.
We know what we were doing before, because this is what's led us.
Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, it's them actually throwing the Glazers under the bus, live and direct in public. Normally you don't get that, and I know they can't say certain things. I mean, this is all before his move to Manchester United and Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos has even been formally ratified. And these are the sorts of decisions that have been happening. And like they said, the wording of statements, and again, we can't get too excited, because at the end of the day, we want to see action. But in order to see action, we have to let the time transpire. But we want to also see change. And when you do see change as a Man United fan, it is difficult, because we've been stuck with poor ownership, poor leadership, poor decisions, and empty promises and empty words. So when you see somebody else say, we want to do it this way, you can't automatically go, great, we're saved, oh my goodness, can have a laugh about it. But when it comes down to it, we want to see action. But I do think it's a time for Manchester United fans to feel really encouraged by the early signs.
Despite that, do you think it might be a bit of a marriage of convenience for the Glazers particularly? Because if this all goes well and Omar Berrada's a fantastic appointment and he gets Manchester United back to the glory days, brilliant, you know, and that's fantastic for them. If it goes wrong, does Sir Jim Ratcliffe just become the fall guy, really, and the Glazers don't get that heat that they had before? Can you see fans doing that?
And this is exactly why there'll be a lot of Manchester United fans still cautiously optimistic, or just cautious in general, and not really wanting to, sort of just looking from afar to say, I'll see how this goes. Because absolutely, like what Man United fans wanted to happen was a full sale for the Glazers to completely rid themselves of any responsibility, any ownership that they have to the football club, and pack up and go. And the offer that was on the table, which has been refuted actually in recent weeks, from Sheikh Jassim in Qatar, was exactly that. Wipe the debt, clear the Glazers out, clear everything again. Here's 1 point whatever billion to put into investment. It's all there. So to fans, we're like, I'll take that option, please. Not someone who's going to sort of work alongside the Glazers, still be minority shareholder. But you're right. If it is to go pear-shaped, then of course the Glazers have played a blinder. They're still there. They're still majority owners. They still have final veto on all these big decisions. But they've handed over so much control, sporting control, to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So it's about what he does with it. And I think a lot of fans are probably hoping for a full stage buyout at some stage as well.
Yeah, and as you say, I mean, it seems like a positive start. And in terms of the appointment itself, he's an impressive bloke, isn't he? You know, he's very ambitious. He's worked at Barcelona. He's been part of this City machine that has produced so much success as well. And he seems like someone who's willing to take this challenge head on as well. What for you is in his in tray when he does come in? I think they're thinking, aren't they? I might be wrong on this, but that he will properly get going in the summer. That's when he'll come into a post. He'll fully take over this kind of post. What kind of notes do you think he's making between now and then in terms of what needs to change at Manchester United?
Well, it's got to be player recruitment and contract negotiations, and I think that is his forte when you see some of the deals he's been involved with, and commercially as well. You know, let's not forget he was at Barcelona before that as well. You know, he's got extensive knowledge and experience in this field, very meticulous, and Pep Guardiola does reference him a lot first name terms. He does that a lot with the people that he's close with in around City, and doing a little bit more sort of research on this and speaking to some City fans. That's what they've told me. So he will want to get a hold of how Manchester United conduct themselves in negotiations for players. I mean, most famously, they're saying obviously he was part of the Haaland deal in terms of the financials of that. I think he was infamously part of, and maybe some City fans listening can sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the decision that didn't bring Harry Maguire to Manchester City. No, it's too expensive. We'll go somewhere else. Didn't he get Ruben Diaz instead, I think?
Not bad.
So also it's about those things, and there's these certain clips which I refused to watch the documentary beforehand of the City.
What, you just couldn't face it?
Yeah, I just didn't want to watch
amazing.
it. But now, like you get, I mean, on social media, everyone's clipping up all these things that he's been saying in the boardroom, and some really interesting things of looking at player contracts, about how they approach that and what it looks like. And one thing you have to say about Manchester City, and even as a Manchester United fan, if I'm being honest, look at what Manchester City have done with their recruitment.
Well, just on that, if we're being slightly cynical about this appointment, would it? I know he's been involved in these huge deals, especially like you say the Haaland one. Would it have been easier for Omar Berrada to walk into those rooms and say, "Oh, well, Manchester City have one of the best managers in the whole world. They're winning absolutely everything. Do you want to join us?" No. Does that make those negotiations much easier for him? Was it him, fully pushing forward these deals?
I think.
Do you think that's unfair? Do you think that's unfair?
The reason why I think it's unfair is because I accept that is one part of it. Who doesn't want to join Man City effect? However, you look at the turnover of when they let players go. You look at how they sell their academy graduates for huge sums of money who have barely kicked a ball for Manchester City. You look at the infrastructure of the investment that they've secured for redoing the grounds around the Etihad campus. You look at those things. There all had to be decisions from people high up that he's been involved with. It isn't just, well, of course Erling Haaland wants to come to us, so that was easy. Or look at the players they've let go. Look at when it gets to João Cancelo and he's acting up a little bit. One of the best fullbacks in the league. Between him and Trent, we're going, oh my goodness, look at these two. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And Pep goes to us and says, no, if he doesn't want to be here, get rid. Yeah. No problem, sorted. Do you know what I mean? The right time to let Gundogan go.
And how badly have Man United needed that, by the way?
Just making the right decisions at the right time. Cole Palmer, just gone. He's the face of Chelsea. Don't worry, we've got a young kid called Oscar Bob. He's ready. It's about the bigger decisions. And I'm not going to sit here and just wax lyrical about Manchester City now all of a sudden. I love Manchester City because he's got... But because this guy is coming out of that sporting project of City Group, and it's an amazingly well-run organisation with some alleged... charges in the court case that, some people have suggested, is he just trying to jump ship before it all comes caving in? I don't know. But what we have to say is that he has been part of a team that makes massive decisions and was touted to be the next in line. Yeah. And now he's going to be head honcho at Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He was, he was set to be that director, wasn't he? Next up at Manchester City. Now, I want to ask you, and you'll have been asked this a lot, and where do you think this leaves Erik ten Hag, this appointment?
I've been discussing this.
It's a really interesting one, because I think he's got, is it one more year after this?
He's got 18 months left.
18 months left on his deal. Now, can you see him getting all the way through that? Do you think that Manchester United need to offer him another extension? I think there is an option in that contract, isn't there, to extend it?
No,
but no.
I don't think they will.
And why is that?
I think I've been discussing sort of with some United fans, and a lot of content we do is there more pressure on Ten Hag now than there was before? Some people are saying no, because now the structure is going to change. It actually eases the pressure. He can work with people who know what they're doing, etc. I push back on it. I think there is more pressure, because what we all know when the new set of owners come in, especially if it wasn't the guy that they chose, if it's not going well, the perfect time to get rid and to start again with their ideologies and what they want to do is at the end of the season. And I think if Erik ten Hag doesn't show enough from now until the end of the season, there's almost like a little mini audition here going on. Players coming back. It's only one game a week. Let's get an upturn. And they've made a statement, according to reports, that they have not written off the season. Ineos want Champions League football. That's going to help Manchester United financially, in terms of FFP or PSR. And the financial flexibility for transfers is dependent on that. So there is no, we've just come in, it doesn't matter if you finish 8th. No. So I think there is more pressure on Erik ten Hag.
I'd agree with you, and I think another side of it that puts even more pressure on is not just the performances on the pitch, it's the fact that Erik ten Hag has been involved with so much off the pitch. He's been involved in so much of the transfer dealings, so many of the targets as well, and that heaps even more pressure on, because you look at it and you think, well, you've got stuff wrong off the pitch, that's affected how poor you've been on the pitch as well. So like you say, I think the pressure is on for Erik ten Hag, and we'll see how it gets on as well. But yeah, a very good appointment I think for Manchester United, and let's see how it goes.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.